So, one of the better known books in our movement is called The Power of Decision, just like the name of my talk. Looks a little something like this, written by Dr. Raymond Charles Barker, who is one of the people on whose shoulders we stand. How many of you have taken a class on this book? Yeah, number of people. I've certainly taught it a lot, as you can see. It's one of my go-tos. It's pretty tattered. This book, it's a very clear, it's very interesting, it's informative, and it's a kind of humorous instruction manual on the importance of being decisive. Anybody here have issues with being decisive? Yeah. So some of the chapters in this book include decide to be happy, decide to live richly, decide to be healthy, decide to be creative. And Barker bases all of this on the fact that we are part of an infinite intelligence that created us. Therefore, because this infinite intelligence is in our DNA, it's in our essence, we have not only the ability and the capacity, we also have the responsibility to be decisive, to use this intelligence to help us make decisions. So like I said, I love this book. I love teaching from it. And what I also know, particularly for people who are fairly new to this teaching, it's not always a gentle read. Would you agree with me? Yeah. I say that because Dr. Barker was one of those old-time metaphysicians back in the 30s, 40s, 50s who absolutely believed without a shadow of a doubt that absolutely everything in our lives is a result of our thoughts and our beliefs. True. Nod your heads. Yes, that's true. Absolutely. He absolutely believed in the law of cause and effect. What you think about comes about. Again, absolutely true. So he was one of these guys that used to be back in the day, if somebody came to him and said, I've got a problem or an issue that I want to talk to you about, he would say to them, not always kindly and gently, well, what's in your consciousness? In other words, what thoughts, what beliefs have you been entertaining in your mind that have brought about this condition or brought about this challenge in your life? Again, all true, without question. That is our teaching. The challenge is, as with some of the earlier metaphysicians, they weren't always kind about it. Back in the day, they didn't have time for compassion and for gentleness. They were trying to get this teaching out there. So it was all about staying in principle to heal the condition no matter what. You guys remember any of those? Yeah, I do. So to give you an example of what I'm talking about, the opening sentence in The Power of Decision goes a little something like this. You'll understand the picture here in a minute. The individual's ability to act unintelligently in a universe of intelligence is amazing. Unintelligence functioning in human consciousness produces wrong decisions. As a result of these wrong decisions, people limit themselves with sickness, financial strain, family quarrels, and frustration, all of which are unnecessary. So that's true, right? It is absolutely true, and it's a little bit harsh. He also talks about indecisive people as being not using their intelligence very much. So not harsh. Not kind, a little harsh. Fortunately, what has happened is that through the years, as this teaching has gotten more exposure, shall we say, we've discovered more loving and kind and gentler ways of imparting this information. In fact, our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote this: In the intelligent study of the teachings of the science of mind, we come to understand that all is love, yet all is law. Love points the way. Law makes the way possible. One of my favorite quotes in the entire world. And what it tells me is that there is room in our teaching for both love and law. Yay. Woohoo! To quote someone I know and love. And it does not take away from the fact that we are made of infinite intelligence, and we absolutely can access this intelligence to help us make decisions. Because the truth is, we make decisions all day long, every single day. What to have for breakfast, whether to come to the center or go to the mountains. Seems like a lot of people made another choice, didn't they? That's why I love you all. You all are my favorites, okay? What do I watch on TV? Do I watch Netflix? Do I watch on demand? Do I watch something on my PVR? Do I want that piece of chocolate? Or do I want a piece of fruit? So we're making choices, we're making decisions all the time. And with most of the decisions that we make during the day, these are not earth-shattering decisions. Either way you choose, you're going to be fine, no big deal. You may regret having oatmeal instead of eggs. You may regret getting up at 4 a.m. to watch the royal wedding instead of sleeping in. But your life is not seriously affected by making one of those decisions or another. They are basically even impact-wise, yes? You understand where I'm going with this? And yet all of us have faced tougher, more life-altering decisions in our lives, haven't we? Should I stay or should I go? Which job is the right one for me? Do we buy a house or do we continue renting? Is becoming a parent the right choice for me? Should I move to the wilds of Canada or should I stay in safe, comfortable Southern California? And when we're faced with choices like that, we sometimes become paralyzed with fear and anxiety. What if I make the wrong choice? How will it impact other people? Will it cost too much money? What happens if I do it? What happens if I don't do it? And because we feel paralyzed with fear and with uncertainty, sometimes we don't make a decision. We just sit there and stew in uncertainty. And then we become so paralyzed with inertia that our life stops moving forward. And that is also a decision. Raymond Charles Barker, in his inimitable style, teaches that not making a decision is a decision. Not making a decision is a decision because we are made of this infinite intelligence that knows exactly how to create what it is that we're thinking about. If we don't decide on something, we are instructing the law to keep us stuck. And the law says yes. But what happens sometimes is that then decisions are made for us. They're made by other people. They're made by the circumstances of our lives. They're made by life just simply moving on while we're stuck. And we're like, but wait, I haven't decided yet. And life is just like, well, we're moving on. Sorry. So isn't it better for us to make a decision? To accept the fact that it might not be the right decision, but at least it's our choice instead of somebody else's? Because here's the great news about how life works, is that even if we make a decision that does not serve us, guess what? We can choose again. We can choose again. Now, regardless of which we choose, we're still going to have to live with the consequences of our choice either way. But here's something to think about. This just came to me when I was putting this talk together. Because I've made some crazy decisions in my life, right? So maybe, just maybe, the consequences of that decision and the lessons that we learn as a result of that decision are exactly what we need to become the people that we need to be. That make sense? Yeah. Maybe what seems like a wrong decision is actually the right decision because the circumstances are helping to mold us into the person we're meant to be. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that we set out to make strange or misguided choices. That's not what I'm talking about at all. It just means that sometimes what seems like a wrong decision ends up being the right one for our soul's evolution when we allow it. So I have another quote from Ernest Holmes. I just love this. Wow. He says, "Here we may meet difficulties, uncertainties, and doubts, barriers walling our passage, but we must not be discouraged when so confronted. We must climb over the rocks of unbelief, pass around the barriers of doubt, and plunge into the stream with faith. The stream will ever widen. The barriers will gradually disappear. Though we walk through the plains and valleys of indecision and doubt, the stream will still carry us back to the ocean of our being." Go like this. You betcha. So that brings me to the actual point that I want to make today. You were wondering where I was going to get there, weren't you? As Dr. Barker says, we are, all of us, made up of infinite intelligence. It is always available to us when we tap into it. There isn't a person here that doesn't have access to infinite intelligence because it is what we are. Put your hand right here and say, "I am infinite intelligence." You betcha. So when we are faced with a hard decision, which we all are at one time of our lives, it is possible to access that intelligence that is within us anyway, and that intelligence can help to guide us. And I don't mean with a list of pros and cons. How many? Pros and cons. How many have done a list of pros and cons? Oh, be honest now. I've done it. Okay. Here's the challenge with the list of pros and cons. It is still looking at whatever the situation is from the information that we have available to us with our senses, with our finite minds, with our human minds. So we're making our list pro, con, with what we know now, with our limited senses. But that isn't the only information that's available to us because we are made of infinite intelligence. So we have access to this infinite intelligence. We have access to the wisdom of the universe. We are one with the one mind. Say that with me. That was good too. We are one with the one mind. Oh my God. We can tap that intelligence. We can tap that guidance. We can go into that wisdom to help us make decisions that are for us. So you might want to know how to do that, hey? Well, if you're willing to play with me in just a minute, I'm going to show you one of the techniques for that. But before we get to that, I have to establish a couple of premises. Premises. More than one premise. Premisi. The first premise that we have to go with is to understand that our minds are incredibly powerful. They are incredibly creative. Even if you don't think you're creative, you're creative. Even if you don't think you have imagination, you have imagination. As Mary Morrissey tells us in the Prosperity Plus class, you think you don't have imagination? Just let your kid be a few hours late coming home. So we have this incredibly powerful and creative mind, this imagination, and we can use this powerful and creative mind to visualize the life that we would like to live. Visualize it. And the amazing thing is that this infinite intelligence that knows how to do everything acts in partnership with us to create the life that we are imagining. This is basic science of mind. And if you don't know that, foundations class starting in October. So we've got this incredible mind. We also have an incredible internal guidance system called our feelings. You know as well as I do that you know when you feel good about something and when you feel less good about something. Yes? Yeah. As Esther Hicks put it, the better you feel, the more in alignment you are. The worse you feel, the worse you fear, yes. The worse you feel, the more out of alignment you are. You know. You know. So when we imagine each outcome of a decision, we have this incredibly strong guidance system within us that informs us when we pay attention to it. But if you're like me, you're like, yeah. But this is really the one I know. Yes? Anybody else? Mm-hmm. So we're going to play a little bit right now. And we're going to take advantage of both our intelligent minds and our feelings. And we're going to do a guided meditation on decision making. So you guys up for that? Yeah. John, if you would, please. So you know the drill. As John makes his way up, just begin to relax. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. Just for the next few moments, there's no place you need to be. Nothing you need to be doing. You're absolutely safe. And just feel yourself softening into the chair you're sitting on. Put your attention on your breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Just let yourself melt into the chair. Take another breath. And when you let it out, allow yourself to soften even more. Now bring to mind a decision that you need to make that you've been putting off. It can be a simple one, or it can be a life-changing one. Choose one that at least has some impact on your life, rather than what to have for lunch today. And now imagine yourself standing at a crossroads with one decision going in one direction and one going in another. With all the imagination you can muster, choose one of the paths and begin walking. As you walk, imagine that you are stepping into the life that has been created by this decision. See yourself living the life that this decision provides you. Who is around you? What are you doing? Really sense into this life that you are living, having made this choice. Now notice how you feel. Do you feel good living this life? Or are you feeling anxious? Are you happy? Or are you sad? Are you expressing yourself fully? Where in your body are you noticing the feeling? What is your breath doing as you live this life? And now, without questioning how, find yourself back at the crossroads. Take a deep breath and let go of the feeling and the picture of where you were a moment ago. And now again, with all the imagination you can muster, choose the other path and to begin walking. As you walk, imagine that you are stepping into the life that this choice offers you. See yourself living the life that this decision provides to you. Who is around you? What are you doing? Really sense into this life you are living, having made this choice. And now notice how you feel. Do you feel happy in this life? Do you feel good? Are you expressing yourself fully? Where in your body are you feeling the feeling? What is your breath doing as you live this life? And again, without questioning how it's done, find yourself back at the crossroads. Take a deep breath and let go of the feeling and the picture of where you just were. And now begin to become aware of this room again. Begin to move your body a little bit, wiggle your fingers and toes. Start to be aware of the other energies in the room. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So an exercise like this may or may not give you your answer immediately. I actually used it last night as I was going to sleep, struggling with not a big decision, but a decision. And I took myself along both paths, tried it on, wanted to feel what it felt like. And when I woke up this morning, I absolutely knew what was the right decision for me. So that you may not get your answer immediately or during the meditation, but what it does is allows you to use both your intelligence and your intuition to help inform you in your decision-making process. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. So either way you choose, you are being fully and completely supported by the universe. And that is the power of decision. I love you, and so it is.